Yo, it's your favorite N-word, Terrence Prescott, and welcome back to the Remixed, story number 11 of the Troutstone era. And I want to talk about some things on the creative processes behind the story and how I did everything to get the story into growing into fruition. So the things that we do know about story number 11 Remix is that it's the lowest in power when it comes to the totem pole of the Troutstone era, and the reason why with that is there is no superpowers or no omniscient beings, deities, or anything that would make it an actual supernatural story. Now, it does hint up to it throughout the story with scientific findings due to one of the characters being a biologist and things like that. But for the most part, it's just powered orbs when people connect punches and shit. So, in that sense, the characters are still very strong. And when humans in this universe accept the life of a warrior, so to speak, they become more strong, and the universe blesses their vessel with more power. It's this thing that hasn't been picked up on through scientific findings yet, but when it comes to these characters in this story, all 36 of them are high-octane martial artists, and they have two styles, or two techniques when it comes to their fighting style. And you'll be able to see that on a newly formatted characterization display sheets that I will be adding to the fan page later, and you will see later on in the video, because this video will show the characterization sheets as well as telling you when you can pause it so you can read the screen and whatnot if you want to read the characterization sheets, and all 36 of them will be in the video. But moving along to other things, the story takes place in Fair City, and Fair City is located north of Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. Still like the story that it's based off of, but Fair City is not in Asia land, it's over in North America, and it still shows 4 seasons throughout the entirety of the year. So in this universe, the climate is a little bit different when it comes to North America. Even though you're getting close to the equator, winter still has about 2 months worth of time of snowfall. Other things, even though there are no scientific findings about the supernatural, ghosts do exist, and they have not been successfully documented or captured so that they can prove that ghosts actually exist in this world. So when Rollette is a ghost, she can still see the world for all it's worth, and she still retains information, because even in spirit form, her brain acts like it is in the real world, and the information that the ghosts gather in the afterlife they can take back to the real world if they decide to possess somebody else. And not all ghosts know how to possess people. It's just something that's passed down on some of the souls, well, a lot of the souls that like to roam the afterlife for a long period of time. And there's some ghosts that are like 3,000 years old and things like that. And in the situation of the story, you have a 14-year-old girl, and 2 of them, they look exactly the same. And the doppelganger effect is something that is strong within the Troutstone era, because if people are having like triplets, quadruplets, sextuplets, and things like that, then their offspring is inherently strong, because the universe is going to provide them more strength and whatnot when it comes to, you know, growing up into the world, things like that. And there's like 2 doppelganger cousin sets and a set of twin brother and sister. So those 6 characters are pretty strong, and that would be Repets and Redino, Idopia and Dylan and Gong, and Miharu. Now, even though there are no omniscient beings or anything, sights, which is something that exists in all of the Tri-Stone era and will be referred to in some way or another within the story, what is written, graphic novel, comic, or animated form, you'll see that the sights do appear somehow in the stories, and Remixed is going to show up as a folklore book, and it's going to be a library scene, and you're going to be able to see it on the table and whatnot once I make it into an animated series. So that'll be an ongoing thing when it comes to my stories of the Tri-Stone era, is that all of them are connected to story number 16, no, not story number 16, story number 18, Immortality. Before all of them end up in story number 10. So going on, the scientific findings of superpowers comes up when Sarliment in the story does a lot of clones, and when don't be giving away stuff. When certain characters die, the scientist is going to clone them like he did Amarelle, right? And they're going to come back, and then they're going to get their souls. The souls, the vessel is going to pull the spirit back to its vessel, and then they're going to wake up and feel alive again. So the characters that do die, they come back resurrected through cloning. And Sarliment is going to be looking into the information, and he's going to see potential markers in RNA that haven't been seen ever. So whenever you do see me type up stuff about my stories, I always say RNA, DNA, is because that the superpower components, the secrets behind them lie within the RNA of the structure of the human vessel. And there's just going to be that. Now, moving along. This fanfic came by because I simply wondered, what was it like for Chaldea and Cyan to grow up together? And simply thinking about that is the reason how the story came about, and I started developing all those characters, you know, the ones that they grew up with and things like that. So the fanfic started off just thinking about what it was like for them to grow up in this story in Fair City. So that's how I started making up Repets and Redino first off. Secondly, how Redcoat became a character, and then started making up all these other characters, Okul, the side characters like Bernice, Yelia, Zoshafina, Archer, but further making up characters that are like the main characters, Ballsy, Ahili, Idopia, Gong, Anya, Barri, Remi, all of them, and twisting them into the story somehow. And that's how it went from a simple story that could take place in a movie like The Bouncer to a story that could be viewed over 3 seasons, which is why I want to make it into a trilogy of a graphic novel. So Fair is heavily compared to Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, Houston, Miami. Those big cities in the States are like Fair City. Fair City has an international hub airport along the coast, has a lot of tourism coming through, a lot of different people. It's a huge melting pot of the world, and that's how a lot of the things are explained when it comes to the different kind of characters in that school. And it's lovely because you have Idopia and Gong, who are both could still be considered international by just talking to them, but they're like born in the States, but they carry the heritage of their family like very strong, to the point that they have dojos that they look after. And Idopia's situation is a little bit different from Gong, but they both still have these dojos that look like the ones in Poland and China. And Miharu has one in Japan, because their fathers were twin brothers, and one of them took the Hiko dojo to the States, the other one took it to Japan, and they built them up from the ground up and whatnot, you know, buying building permits and buildings and all of that stuff, and they got the dojos up and running, and it looks just like it is in China and Poland. So they have that going for them. And then you have how Anya gets into the store, because her parents are international pilots and drivers, and they do a lot of submarine work. They've been in outer space before, so they come work for the Travato group at the end of the story and whatnot. And that's how Anya comes into the story. There's a lot of different things like that, but Fair City is a melting pot. Now, when it comes to all of the decisions behind the characters, I want to start off talking about the teenagers first, because Rollette, well, because I don't do the character archetypes and whatnot. All of my characters are hella strong, alright? They be out there like them kangaroos, and with them all being so strong, there's no like weak characters, scared characters, all of this other kind of stuff and things like that. It's always some like crazy shit going on with these characters, and the more powerful they are, the more wild the story is. So Remixed in a whole is the tamest of all of my stories, because it doesn't have superpowers, but it still retains the warriorhood aspect of true fiction and how the story is developed in total escapism. So, you know, nobody can relate to the characters and things like that, but in the sense of when it's compared to everybody else, it's the tamest. Every other story is the tamest. And Rollette is the character that represents the will to live and love. Maxim is a silent brooding type. Craig is a Corey Holcomb type. Ixinia represents sorrow, and her hypersexuality is one of her mechanisms of coping with not being able to practice gymnastics for the rest of her life and things like that. Because that situation when that genetic thing happened, and she was performing and it was being filmed. It was a national event on championship, and she was on a balance beam, and her skin turned slightly green, and everybody could see it on the cameras, everybody could see it, and she had to stop because this condition makes her skin shrink, and it tightens up her entire body, and it's extremely painful. Like, her skin is 3 times strong as regular people's, but at random it'll squeeze the entirety of a vessel, so it squeezes from the sole of your toes all the way to the crown of your head. So the pressure is immense, and it's all over the body at the same time. So it's on the skull, on the torso, where everything is, you know, can get to, underneath the ribs. The legs tighten up the fingers, and she's broken a few every now and then when the condition strikes. And it never happened where gymnastic officials saw it, her coach, or anything like that. So she got hemmed up, and it happened to her when she was performing, and that's how she got ousted from gymnastics, because they didn't want her to perform it anymore. So she became a pit of sorrow and the emptiness of performing in front of people, because she loved performing in front of people. She was one of the greatest gymnasts of her age, and Ahili remembers her as well as all of the other girls, because all of them practice gymnastics. But Ahili is the only character that stays in it, and Ahili remembered the day when it happened because it was at the same championship. And Ahili loved watching her on the beam. She was known as the beam queen, and then the thing happened while she was in the middle of a layout, and she had to stop, and she got on a bench, and she sat there, and she dealt with the immense pressure of her skin turning green and shrinking again. And then she got the news that she couldn't perform gymnastics again because they felt like it was unsafe and stuff like that, and they didn't want to be held responsible if she gets hurt performing in the gym and things like that, or in an event, and can take advantage of suing them and all of this stuff. So she became a bit of sorrow. But moving along, Repets is Miss Act Up, Redino is Mr. Act Up, O'Cool is the coolest, Garland is the rich black lady, Io is class president, Gong is the new nigga, Ballsy is the coolest, Ahili is the gymnast character, Miharu is playing too much all the time. Alright, all the time she is playing too much. Anya is Miss Worldwide, Dylan is the surfer, Barri is Mr. Worldwide, Remi is Mr. Tattoos, and Equian is the knockout king. And it's a huge disadvantage, but he is one of those always been bulky kids, and when he hit puberty he went up again. And he retained the bulk that he naturally has on his vessel and started doing boxing stuff at an early age, getting ready for a career in mixed martial arts later on in life. So he became the knockout king, and he started, you know, chin checking people and getting great at it and getting into the semi leagues and things like that. But Anya is one of the Echidna characters in the story, because you remember in the other videos I said that Echidna was created 3 times in this version. So Anya is one of them, and 36 is a special number to me, and it's not because I'm a Wu-Tang fan and I played Shaolin style, but I really love that game. But the 36 honeycomb thing helps me stay focused when it comes to things in a story, and hexagons are like this huge theme when it comes to the Tri-Stone era, as in the image I'm watching. But Anya was chosen because she was another Echidna clone in the story, even though she has a different fighting style than the other 2 characters. But I like the triple effect thing, so that's how Anya became a character in the story. Now Ballsy Courvoisier, I made her up because I wanted a female character who was like a country-esque bombshell. And even though I had Idopia is a completely different type of personality, and Ballsy is like a fun girl, a stylish girl, and her mother owns a ice cream parlor, and she works at the ice cream parlor, and her father is an heir to the Courvoisier name. So she has it made, but in the sense of keeping her a good girl and wanting a good girl in the cast, it would be Ballsy. So Ballsy was made up to fill the good girl role, and now is on to her best friend, Ahili Harlem. I made up Ahili because there wasn't because even though the story has been around since around 2001, 2 or 3, when I was reforming the story after turning it from a fanfic to a real story, that's when I started to change the ethnicities of characters in the story so to be all inclusive. And Ahili was one of them, because I didn't have a lot of Inuit characters in the story or Asian characters in the story. Ahili was made to fill that void in a sense. And I hadn't had a girl that I want to stick to gymnastics yet, and the story that I put on Ahili was special and significant to just her. So Ahili has a lot of like a sense of origin when it comes to a original when it comes to a character. And then moving on to Ixinia Balgury, she represents Chaldea from the original story, so it's not really much I can say about her when it came to choosing her as a character. But I did add that sense of hypersexuality to her, because she because you know, gymnasts are barely in any clothes, and she liked being seen for her athleticism, and she one, still retained it. Two, became more powerful because by the time she got to junior high, when she got that Nephilim Ghost Serum, it almost nullified her genetic disposition with her disease, and she could just go back to gymnastics, right? But not in this case because everybody saw it. But the sorrow still exists and everything when it comes to Ixinia. And moving on to the next character, which will be her best friend, Repets Pecano, which is one of the twins. Repets can be revered as a goth kind of character too, because her mother was a goth, and her mother has a lot of tattoos. Even though her mother is Indian, she was like, I don't do the Hindu thing, I don't do the tradition thing. She was always the black sheep of her family, and she just made her way to the States one day and got into school. Somebody talked to her from the FBI, and she became an FBI undercover agent. And her whole persona growing up is the same persona that Repets is going to have to a T, and she's going to know how to handle her daughter, and they have an excellent relationship. But Repets was the character that I made up that I wanted to be the most strong in the story. So moving on to her brother, which is also the strongest male character in the story, Redino Parlio. He the two of them was made up to be the two strongest when it came to the pack of friends. And I call the pack of friends the Dog Street Gang, and they all get together and they have their sub members and everything. But all 18 of them that are in the story, all of the teenagers, they are the main members of the Dog Street Gang. Even Remi and Anya, when they come in on the third part of the graphic novel of the story. And I really love making Redino and Repets because I like making twin characters, and I like making them really diverse, and they have already been around the world saving villages and ninja clans and things like this, so that I made them to be like heroes in a sense, and they have done their share of saving, so that both of their parents are FBI agents and they trust them completely. But moving on to the other friend, Holtigez. Yes, I know his last name is a fake Mexican name, but you know, it's fiction. What you gonna do about it? Now, I straight up made this character because I saw a specific person in the Bojangles drive-thru when he was working a second window. I saw him a number of times, and even after the first time I made up a character, just because he was beautiful. I see a lot of beautiful people in life, and every time I see one, something is recorded and they end up becoming an important character in one of my stories and whatnot. So was created because I just saw a person with a lovely aura. And then there's their other friends, Maxim Kimplory, which is the replacement character for Cyan Barzad. The differences between them is that Maxim has a more clear past, and the thing with his character and the characterization sheet is when you know, pause it through this section and then listen to the rest of it, this explanation for the minute. But Maxim doesn't have parents like he does in The Bouncer or whatever, and his grandfather is a A-list celebrity who you know, takes care of him financially and sees him every now and then, but he's actually raised by the best friends of his father, which is his black gay male couple, and they do everything that they did as a kid, and they pass on all of the martial arts stuff to him, and it trickles over to both Ixinia and the next character, Craig Heighton. And Craig Heighton is their best friend, and they meet up with the twins and O'Cool and their other friends in junior high. But Craig Heighton is a piece of work because he's a Corey Holcomb type character, so he is always somewhere talking shit. Always, for like the what's it, the shock value of it all. Craig is just ridiculous, and everybody knows he's ridiculous. Everybody loves him for it. They don't hold anything against him. I love this character so much. Cause when I universe trip with the other characters and go to the final story, it's always him and the other Corey Holcomb type characters together. But Craig is wild. He is wild, and I love every second of him. And the next character will be Barri Inglotion. He's gonna be a worldwide successful young teen model, and he also models for Dog Street Clothing. And Dog Street Clothing is the thing that brought all of the characters together so they can form the Dog Street gang once they made it to high school. And that's exactly what Garland went to public school to find. But Barri is a model who works mostly with Dog Street, and all of the girls have a poster of him somehow, somewhere in their bedroom. And when he comes to Fair High School, he meet all of the characters, and the first one he meets is Rollette, and Rollette be like, you gotta meet everybody. So that's how he gets brought into the story. But I created him because I wanted like something that was in Dog Street, working for Dog Street already for the characters, specifically for Garland and Ballsy. But moving on over to Ixinia Doza, he was made up because I always liked the character Prince Doza from Airgeese. And if you played that game, it's a fighting game made by Squaresoft back in the PlayStation 1 days, and Sephiroth, Tifa, Cloud is on it, as well as all the other characters. But I really love that girl that was the archaeologist. I like that character a lot, and yes, I locked her. She on the memory card over there. But Ixinia was made because I always like Ixinia Doza, and I was gonna put that character in Prince Doza. I was gonna put a character based off of him in a story some way somehow, and it just happened to be remixed. And he comes through, get transferred to Fair High School, and everybody loves him right at the beginning of high school. And the next character is Rollette O'Water, which is the replacement for Dominique Cross. Not an android, the human clone, 100% up and down. Everything is exactly the same, like the girl that the DNA is based off of before she died, without the terminal illness. So Rollette O'Water gets her second lease in life, and she goes right back into trying to get to the life that she used to have. And she finds her grandparents eventually, and they happen to be in Fair City, and they happen to be the state, her grandfather's a state governor, because she doesn't have parents either. And that's how she bonds with Maxim right away, because that's the first person she meets. And he helps her out, find her grandparents, and then that's when the twins, Okul, Craig, and Ixinia are introduced in the story at the beginning of first chapter. And the next character will be Miharu Hiko-Un. And the thing with the Hiko-Un last name is that each generation has a dash added to the end of it. And I think the previous generation was Hiko-Ba, and this generation is Hiko-Un. So Miharu and Gong both are addressed as Hiko-Un when they're talking to other family members and things like that. Miharu was created because I wanted there to be like a triple effect of twins in the story, doppelgangers in the story, so to speak, and all other pairs are male female. So Miharu was made well after everybody else was made, but she was added to the story because I wanted the doppelganger thing to be a triple effect and eventually go into a hexagon. So Miharu is Gong's cousin, and Gong is already a piece of work, and Miharu is more of a piece of work, and she gets along with everybody just like everybody else, and Gong especially, because everybody loves how Gong Hiko-Un wears his hair, and like he always had these braided down, pulled back up balls on ball ponytails on his head and whatnot. So he always has to sit down between people's legs, and there's this character named Esmeralda, and he loves her ever since he saw her. And the thing about Gong is he loves black chicks. Craig loves black chicks, and them two, they bond so much over black chicks. Craig has Garland and Gong has Esmeralda, but Esmeralda has a story that is, you know, around the way, and everybody doesn't like Esmeralda, but Gong is like, I bet you won't fight me over it. But moving right along, the next one is Idopia Lost, and she's one of the doppelganger characters too. She is the daughter of the son that didn't want to be, really want to be a part of the family. So he escaped to the States and became a lawyer and was moving up in echelon a lot. So he becomes a very powerful lawyer in Fierce City. And Idopia, you know, the lifestyle is alright, and if her parents get a divorce, she'll be good because her mother makes some sticks. And you know, she really do not like her father because he turned his back on a family tradition of martial arts in the Lost Dojo. So Idopia and Craig are in the same disposition when it comes to having fathers that don't respect martial arts. So they bond over there and they become friends over there. And then her cousin Dylan Lost, he was under more favorable circumstances because his father is still there in Poland and at the dojo and helping him go around the world being a teenage surfer superstar. And Dylan can be considered a Mr. Worldwide character too, but he comes at the second part of the trilogy towards the end of the first part, but him and Miharu don't stay in the States until like their last year in high school, so they don't become like parts of the main cast until like the last part of the trilogy. But he is just like Idopia. They both like they really love martial arts and art history behind ninjutsu. Both highly dangerous, alright? And just like everybody else in the Dog Street gang, but they have like all these different kind of characters in the gang. Let me see if I can remember some people, or I'm just gonna find it on the internet real quick. But there are a lot honorary members of the Dog Street gang. I cannot remember his name right now, but I'm about to see him. I just gotta make it to it. Because I want to mention him first because he's been like a friend of Maxim and them since high school, because he went to their junior high. And his name starts with an E, so that, and I don't think I have it. No, those images aren't on my fan page. But there are a lot of them characters. I want to start listing off the names, but I gotta wait until I get the first one out the way. Where is he in? His name is X Redeo. It's a very difficult name, but everybody calls him X, and he's the protector of the deaf kids in the school. But all of them like him, and you know me, I always put myself in the stories, and X Redeo is the version of me in this universe. But X Redeo isn't a main character. He is just a helper character to the gang and an honorary member, and he spends most of his time with the deaf kids because his foster brother is deaf. Then you got Esmeralda, and she is a lady of the night. She is an orphan, and one of the madams of Fair City picked her up from the orphanage and took care of her and told her that you can live any kind of life you want, because she had it made so she could just make things up, make things great for the kids that she take in for a little bit of time. And Esmeralda just happened to be one of the girls that wanted to be in the prostituting business, and she gets her ways of getting around the city and not getting caught and things like that. And she does the high echelon escorting thing for, you know, the disgusting man who likes the underage girls. But she wrecks a lot of money for herself. She lives in her own place, and she has her own group of friends in the school that but like everybody knows she's a prostitute, but can't nobody prove it. But everybody in the gang knows. But Gong is like, I don't care what you say about her, she is surviving the best way she can, and she smells good. Gong be wildin'. He be protecting a little girl, and besides her being a high order escort, Esmeralda is pretty dangerous when it comes to martial arts, and Gong loved finding that out. Then you have another girl named Kishada Gaines, and she is a daughter of one of the men that's on the special forces team with Hardin Jeit, and she comes into the story later, but she goes to Fair High School to cause stress for the Dog Street gang, because, you know, the Truata group wants Rollette, and she like they're doing all kind of cock blocking against the Dog Street gang, making sure they get in trouble at school and causing all kind of things, manipulating different people in the gang and things like that. But she's not an honorary member, she's an enemy. Other ones will be like Yuan Lee Dune. Yuan Lee went to the school where Ballsy, Ahili, Idopia, and Gong went to, and she always ends up on the school committee, and she always ends up in the position of the event planner. So she has goals of becoming a professional event planner when she grows up and whatnot, but in the meantime she's gonna live it up with her friends and the Dog Street gang. She is a very interesting side character because she has this sky blue hair, and she wears this hairpiece that make it look like it's always big, and it's sectioned off the way it's like always around her, and she got the bangs too. But you also have young Navendez, who is this superstar skateboarder girl in her young teens, and she's a celebrity at this point. She moves to Fear City in the second part of the story, and she becomes an honorary member. And Josephina, who is Garland's best friend, and all of the other kids from the cheerleading squad that they like, Archer, Ickley, who happens to be Garland and Josephina's best friend from private school, but she said she don't do the public school thing, so she stayed in private school. But when Josephina made up the Z Squad, Ickley happily went to go be a cheerleader because she traveled with both Garland and Josephina in their youth. When they were when Garland was going around getting her martial arts around in the world, she would go and get it too. So Ickley knows how to fight, and she happens to be a darker skin tone than Garland and Josephina, and she got sky blue hair too. But you have Yelia, who is on the cheerleading squad, and then you have Bernice, who used to be Repets' best friend until something happened, and along the lines of the story of the Girl Scouts and the Dodgeball movie. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know I'm talking about Bernice. So their story is the same. Bernice was on steroids, and the girls got eliminated from the not eliminated, they got taken out of the dodgeball tournament because Bernice was on steroids, and her mother didn't think, you know, there was go like chick little girls going into a dodgeball tournament, but they did, and then they got they had to forfeit, and Repets never forgave her, and cause instead of Bernice telling her that she was on an inhaler or something, because you know that's what best friends do, Bernice never told Repets. So when they got eliminated and Bernice told them that she was on a asthma pump thing, Repets felt betrayed, so they are no longer best friends. But you know, Redino and O'Cool miss her because they used to be the Fab Four. And Bernice used to be Redino's girlfriend, but Repets nipped that shit in the bud when that situation happened. But looking for Redino, he ends up with Ahili. Yes, they become a couple in the story. But it's a lot of side characters and things like that. But the other characters I chose for the story, oh, right on time. I'm gonna start off with Donol Cutta, the person in charge of Doves, the secret agency that is a different branch of the government, and they work like spies and things like that, and they have people in the Travato group getting information for them, and like dead ass, even though he got on a gold mask, he is always in the office, but you'll never see him leave that office, alright? Even though he like 6'7", you'll never see him ever. Tall ass ninja, he out there on that stuff shit. But his two most prized field agents though, those two are a trip. But Donol made up this government wing because he had this invention that landed him millions so he could help fight crime, and that's what he always wanted to do growing up. But then you have his field agents, Vulcan Charlie's, and she is a hot mess. She loves the undercover work, and she is one of the Echidna characters in the story. She is the second one, cause Champagne was lost a battery, but moving right along. Vulcan Charlie's is the second Echidna character. It was Champagne was first, and then Vulcan, and then Anya. But Vulcan Charlie's is a tasty piece of work, and she loves doing undercover things because she loves pretending to be a different person, but they are always mega ridiculous. So every time she is in a story, she is being like a different person, making sure that when the kids go out in public, that nobody from the Travato group is close by, and you know, other authorities are informed and things like that. Because you know, Rollette is supposed to be a protected citizen because her great grandfather is a governor. But at the same time, she's still wanted by the Travato group, and they can pay people different amounts of money, and they have this secret cop organization called the Overruled Blues, and they help with trying to get Rollette. But Vulcan is always there, and so is Joana Sullivan. She is always there too, but she's not doing undercover work. She's the one that's in the van for the most part, and if she has to get out, she is dressed accordingly to the situation that's going on, so she can get in there and do her undercover thing too if she has to. And Jonah is the character that takes the place of Leanne Caldwell in the story, and she represents power and whatnot, and she's actually no, she's not, but she is the one that teaches Repets later on in the story to unlock her ultimate power, and that's how Repets becomes the most strong character in the story. And there are a lot of different final fights, but Jonah will make sure that all of the kids are very well prepared for protecting their necks towards the end of the story. And then you have Remi, alright? That boy be wildin'. Remi is a transplant from London who didn't want to live there anymore. He came to the States, heard about Doves, and he came to the States initially to be an undercover agent for Doves, and he happens to be the replacement character for Cole Fo. As you can see, all of the tattoos and things. And he gets into being a member of the Dog Street gang because he already wearing Dog Street clothing. And Repets goes into Doves later on in the story, and they get connected, and with him being 17 as well, he might as well be with the group because he's going to be there trying to protect Rollette. So Remi's character already in the story. Now the next one, Liang Rong, which is the replacement character of damn, what's his name? Wong Leung. Actually, Gong Hiko-Un is a replacement character for Wang Leung. Liang Rong acts like the character that Wang Leung is, but Liang Rong is much younger than him. But he still acts like the character that is the Liang Rong's character is the top of the weapons list in this universe, like the man-made weapon list, like the top 100, top 1,000 and things like that. He's number one, top of the food chain when it comes to martial arts. And he has trained many of the kids in the Dog Street gang. Most specifically Maxim and Rollette, but also Garland. But they have met him in passing, all of them. Then you have Natalia Cordova. Her and the other two characters that came from Brazil with her, they were all made up to be different villains in the story. And they are people who have their hands in the same pot of gold as the Travado group. So they are with the inner circle of the Travado group, because Natalia and them, they were all members of a crime syndicate. And actually they weren't, they were a rival's crime syndicate, but they were just, you know, low members of it because they were teenagers and shit. But the thing that changed it was when they killed the son of a rival cartel or a syndicate, and that made them hunted. And you know, they didn't want to be hunted, so they just escaped to the United States and ended up in Fear City. And Chazz Meganight, another member of that trio, he got some kind of thing so he can make up this this fashion apparel store, which is like a gentlemanly and ladylike boutique that is mad affordable, but it also has spaces for stuff that is like extremely up there on in the fashion world. And he also does a lot of things about with international trading and moving around weight. He also moves around firearms too. So he got out of that syndicate and extended that syndicate to the States, but also helped keeping his I guess his arm of the syndicate, or his wing of the syndicate, off of the radar of the people of the kid he killed. And Luminosa was also involved in it, and Luminosa went with her two friends to the States, and they got their jobs and things like that. Like Chazz Meganight owns that fashion store, but helps move weight through customs and things like that. And Natalia is a nightlife entertainer manager, and she manages nightclubs and different people who are trying to get into the music industry or the entertainment industry. She's like an agent and things. And Luminosa is a news broadcaster, and she's a very savvy one. She's not the one to sit at the desk. She's the one that covers the news all outside, and she has her own like whole hour of news. And she has this like she just has so much reach in all of the communities around Phil. And then you have Vang Manhattan, and he is a member of Travado at the beginning of the story. And he comes in, and he is in with Champagne. He's one of her bodyguards, and he's supposed to be with the Travado group, the inner circle, trying to get Rollette so they can enact a plan to blow up certain places around Earth so they can reorganize the power structure around the entire planet. And Vang Manhattan doesn't want to do that. He wants to go against it. And eventually his working with Doves gets caught up to him, and he gets handled and left to die. But he comes back later on in the story and things like that. But he's the character that replaces Volt Kruger from The Bouncer. And he got that wrestling thing down pat, but he has a better appearance now. Then you have Darien Streets, and he is a character that I added to the story because I was filling it out to 36, and the way that I was developing the villains, that they needed people who were in a Travato group but were working in places and positions where they could help out the Travato group. And Darien Streets was once a very highly and still highly acclaimed gymnast who went to Olympics and wrecked all kind of gold medals and whatnot, so he's considered a national hero. But he took all that money he got from sponsorships and things like that to making a hit squad called Saying Yes. And it's 10 members strong, and they are all people that he met in college. Every last one of them. Darien Streets is a piece of work, but you go love them, and Ahili loves them too. But moving right along, we had the Travato group left, and I'm going to start off with Rithaga Coluv. Rithaga Coluv is the acting president of operations for security of the 3 towers, and she busy all the time because, you know, she's doing the security thing on all 3 towers. She's working the docking bays for the sea, for the ships that come in, the trucks that come in on the other building, all of the people that come in through the gates to get to work and things like that. She watches the security monitors, keep her eye on anybody that security is suspicious about, and does it quite well. Lives a lovely life because of it. And she was just supposed to be a security officer in the building, but the actual president got in trouble and they sent him away for a few years, and they appointed her because they felt like she was smart enough to be the president of operations. And then you have Sarliment Maillard, who is a biologist who is very smart. No longer in high school, no longer in college. He got 2 masters because of his genius, and he was able to do all of his genius doing all kind of doctorate things and whatnot. And then the Travato group found out about him and they took him in, and he was just a simple scientist when Amarelle and Xenos came in, and he had a thing for Amarelle since they was 10 years old, and he was 10 years old trying to figure out how to do a cloning process. And the Travato group made sure he got all the nutrients to his brain and all of the equipment he needed so he can test everything out on his theories of cloning. And he eventually figured out the perfect way to clone humans, and then Rollette happened. So moving right along, Odrig Odincree, he is definitely a Corey Holcomb type character, and he is one of the executive bodyguards. He is the one who was with Amarelle all the time whenever she wasn't out assassinating. And yes, she was a 14-year-old assassin before the terminal illness finally took her. But Odrig is big, tall, big 6'7", dark skin, Ethiopian dude, out there handling people. Even though Amarelle was a trained assassin, she didn't really need it, but it doesn't hurt to have an extra body. And they loved beating up people together. When Amarelle couldn't do her hit squad shit, they was out there doing it together, and they bonded. Odrig misses Amarelle a lot. And the other bodyguard is Kirin Xianha. He is a piece of work with a long Asian beard, crimson hair all over the place. But I made him up because they needed another important bodyguard. Odrig protects Amarelle, and Kirin protects Xenos, and Vang protects Champagne. The other people of the executive circle, they don't need protection because they are special forces captain, president of operations, and Mafia, who is just the concierge of the executive circle. But Kirin is quite lovely. He has a boyfriend. He lives a lovely life, paycheck huge, but still can martial arts his way to emotional rage and use it for his benefit with them powerful ass haymakers he be doing. Moving along, Mafia Genevieve, who is the concierge of the Travato group, she she was not a main character for a long time. It used to be Darien Streets, and he got replaced because Mafia was actually in a story from the beginning of it, because she's the concierge for the executive circle of the Travato group. And I was like, I should make her a character, because there are more male main characters than female. So she switched places with Darien Streets, and that's how she become a character. Mafia, beautiful. Love making her up because she had lavender hair, and her superpower is mirror skeleton, which will not be played into until Mess Memorial Stones. But the development of her character added a lot of sauce to the story, because she don't like Odrig, because Odrig played too much. He is always somewhat being Corey Holcomb, and she is always somewhat trying to be professional. She just want things to get done around the office, and this nigga making everybody laugh. But she get them things done, and she made it so that Amarelle lived a lovely life until she passed away from the illnesses, from the terminal illness. And Amarelle is the replacement of Angelos Anastasius in the Bouncer story. And Amarelle is quite saucy and quite everything you need for a badass kid to be, alright? And she already had martial arts stuff, but her family just abandoned her middle brother in another country. So she has a lot of anger that she concentrates into being an assassin. She is quite nasty. Then you have her older brother Zenos, who is the replacement of Dorgan C. Mikado in the Bouncer. Zenos, boy, just like Dorgan, this can't be and drop to the floor after he get his ass beat. But other than that, he is just like Dorgan C. Mikado, an asshole. He see that plan, he want to get to it. He like, it's right down the crosshairs. He go get to it. Only thing he need is Rollette, and he keep on trying to get her in the story and whatnot. And when he finally get her there, he go in outer space, blasting the planet away. But Zenos, you're gonna hate him so much. But he's the holder of the Travato group, and that's it for the characterization sheets. That should be it. Let me make sure. I didn't talk about Champagne. Champagne Rose is the last one, I think. And she is the character that was based off Echidna. Firstly, as you can see, she got on a full red bodysuit with some gold stuff and her long magenta hair, and she got that cleavage out, you know. And she is almost like Echidna, except for she's not a ridiculous hothead at the mouth. She is a savvy, delicious syrup when it comes to talking. Unlike Echidna, who didn't have a filter but wasn't really saying anything. Champagne will serenade a nigga into signing 500,000 away. And the old master of the Travato group had to have her, and because of how she was in the streets when he met her is how she became a weapon developer for the Travato group. But I'm gonna go talk about these images and things that I got lined up now. So I want you to take in consideration that I have been sitting on this forever, so I know everything, but I want to hip y'all to some of the creative processes when it comes to making up these characters and designing them. And the first thing is, there's a lot of things in Fair City that I want to be seen, and it's like a crazy paradise place. And you know how old video games used to be, where you have this city, then the stages are scattered at different parts of the town. That is exactly how I made up Fair City. Okay, so there's a park called Journey Park, and it's going to be where one of the snatch and go missions take place. And it's actually going to be the beginning of where the last one takes place before Rollette gets snatched. And there's like this, I saw this image years ago of like this huge stone sculpture of a man with his hand in the air like this, and he's going to be over Journey Park. And the reason why they call it Journey Park is because it's a cemetery, and they have a lot of the mortuaries on the 3 blocks surrounding it, and then they have the rest of the city going off around it and whatnot. And close to that cemetery is where Ballsy's mother's ice cream parlor is, and they go and get a lot of like after funerals, a lot of people will go get their kids ice cream cones before they go to the wake and things like that, and wrecking their money. Her mama been in that position ever since she brought up the House of Gooey. And the House of Gooey, the House of Ooey Gooey is the name of the ice cream parlor. They call it Hog for short, and it has every building on its block. So you know, the block, all of it, that entire building all the way up to the skyscraper of it is under Balleria's mother's name. And she be reckoning that money, but she be getting them kids while they crying and cheer them up into the wake for a little bit and make their life a little bit better. Then other different, like seeing different gifts and things throughout life, and it's all beautiful. Then seeing QT Jazz come out of the subway, and Fair City has a subway system as well, like New York, because it's heavy metropolitan. They have art museums, beautiful places with different vines and tree stuff growing on them and things, and they have a lot of Asia towns, a lot of Jamaica towns, a lot of Little Italys and things like that. Fair City takes up a huge chunk of land close to the shore, and then it branches off to a national park close to it, and that national park is where one of the snatch and go missions is going to be. But when I was getting ready to do this video, I wanted to go ahead and do a map of Fair City, but I have to sit down and meticulously draw all of the buildings and where all of the major places are, because this is one like Journey Park where that dude's standing like that, and that's the last snatch and go mission, because they go get Rollette, and Balleria is going to see him because she's going to be working at the House of Ugui that night, and Repets is going to run by slamming on the window. Immediately Balleria is going to get her phone, text her peeps, say they on the move, they going through Journey Park, get here now, I'm going to try to keep y'all updated. So Balleria go out there, even though it's just her and Rollette first, and then Craig comes in somehow because they running through the crowds together, and Craig sees them, and then O'Cool is getting ready to do what he do, and he's on top of a building being like this expertise cat burglar, and he's gonna see his friends running down the street, and he gonna just jump off the building and do his ninja thing and go all the way down safely to the ground below without breaking any bones, and run after his friends and help with trying to prevent Rollette from getting taken. Things like that. I need to have that mapped out and drawn all the way so I know where everything takes place in the story, and that's one of the things that helps out with the creative process, because I have the timeline all done, the chapters all done, all of the information about dance floor epidemics, the cheerleading thing where Josephina finally gets into the Guinness World Book of Records for help being the youngest captain of an all-star team and having everybody else around her age. So it's about 36 15-year-old she takes to world championships for cheerleading and win the whole thing with all 35 of them. I need to be able to map out everything from that, even though that goes international. But when everything comes together, like what Fair High School is, the Panther Station, which is important to the last Snatch and Go mission, all of the subway system, how they get from how they get Rollette all the way from one quarter of Fair City all the way to where the Travado group is, because with the way that the shore is set up in South Carolina, the Travado group will be north, and Myrtle Beach will be over here somewhere. But the Travado group, Three Towers, is all the way at the top of the South Carolina line. So that's already in my head. I just need to get the map of the city drawn all the way out, and I can do that. I've done mapping before, but you know, it's a lot of deep work. But over the years, I've seen images that makes me want to make scenes in a story like that, and then my Tumblr has mostly a bunch of celebrities, pseudo celebrities, and ANTM contestants all over it. So I see enough fashion to supply what characters will look like when it comes to a story like Remixed, because it's completely different from Crystal Collector, because it's a superhero story. Remixed is not a superhero story, so these people wear regular clothes and stuff like that. So going through them, I get the going through time, I get to design what everybody will look like and things like that. And Repets and Ixinia are both goth chicks to an extent, and Repets will wear leather every now and then. She got her leather jacket that's in red, and like it's a real motorcycle leather jacket, multi-layered and everything. Zipper is 100%. Ixinia wears the hypersexual goth stuff and gets away with it. Like I said, Remix is going to be a store where a lot of things in high school do not happen. So yes, the girls are going to get away with wearing the clothes that they want to wear, whether they have breast and ass or not. And over the years, I've seen some very magical pieces that remind me of a lot of my characters. I want to go down the line because the males are very easy, and you'll be able to see in the images right now. Redino, he wears that printed clothes like that. And then you have Repets, who wears multiple choices like that, and she got a tomboy looks, she got a high class goth looks, and she got a streetwear with her legs out. Yeah, that looks like Repets. Repets will rock all of that. Her favorite color to wear are reds though. So that's why her leather jacket is red. But I really like these looks for Repets a lot. Now Rollette is a little bit different, because Rollette's favorite color to wear is yellow. So she has a lot of yellow coats like that. And it's not just one, and you will always see Rollette in a yellow coat unless it's the spring or the summer. And if it's cold indoors, you'll see her in a yellow coat, and that's her thing. But she also wears the different clothes like that, with the midriff out, the Daisy Dukes with a hoodie on, and she has a extremely girly looks like the last one with that red, orange, and orange. Be vivid like that. Then you have Maxim, who is just you know, keep it regular. You know, a jacket and some jeans, no biggie. But Ixinia, as you can see, the lace, she will wear it. That will be in school, and she will be chilling on the back of a hearse, just like that. The fishnet panties, like how Justine Scott got on, and the belted leather girly throwdowns, like Lulu, but without the overcoat and the dress. But seeing Lulu on Final Fantasy X was like how I wanted Ixinia to be as well. So she got that tough dark girl thing going on. And then cool, you know, just like any Latin American man. But I really like the way that Bodega Bams looks. he often reminds me of Oh Cool, but then again, he is also based off some other things in the Tri-Stone era, a lot of them actually. And then you have Miharu, and as I said, she played too much, so you know her clothes are gonna be over the top and saucy, and she loves them thigh-high boots, but she be having several pairs of those. And guess why? Cause Miharu's boyfriend is what is he? He's an international model, just like Barri, but he's a different one. And he gets her all kinds of clothes. So Miharu has access to all kinds of clothes. But I like those three styles because the ripped jeans, the coveralls, the thigh-high boots, her wardrobe is very leg based. Even though coveralls cover them, you still want to see what's underneath. And Miharu has that tease like thing about her personality, just like Ixinia. And in the story, Miharu does take place of Ixinia and the Dog Street gang, so to speak. But she does come around to meet Ixinia before Ixinia dies in the story. And then Gong, who'll be wearing all of them nicely printed shirts, hoodies, clothes. Everything that Gong wears is really padded down, tagged, patches, all kinds of stuff. He is that. Then there's Idopia, who is you know, the class president of the group, and you know, she keeps it cool like so, but when she's not in school, she'll have her legs out. So she likes to play it safe because her mother is very in her era about it, because you know, Fierce City is not named Fierce City for no reason. There's Repets will say something like in the story, you can try me if you want to, but remember, my city doesn't solve murders. And Repets is not afraid to kill anybody. The thing about these characters is that they were all raised as warriors from the 1300s. So it's either your life or theirs. And they know the gravity of taking a life, but they know that they won't be killed. So it's always a last ditch effort if they're going to kill somebody at night. But in most cases, they aren't killing anybody, but the Travato group will come around and change their entire teenhood. And that's a part of the reason why the story is named Remixed, because life is constantly sounding different to them because of the situations they in. But I really like those looks for Idopia, because she loved them. She loved their preppy look. And then Dylan, surfboards all over the planet, hitting them waves, chilling out, getting sponsorships, getting paid, and him and his father be having a good life. And then there's Garland. As you know, her favorite color is blue, so she will be wearing a lot of blue clothes, and you can picture all of it in blue. And there will be a moment in the store where Craig wants her to do something, and she'll turn around, just like in the picture to the side, and have her hair out there like that. And Garland, her love for Dog Street clothing is as deep as Balleria's, right? And them two are the most style savvy when it comes to that group, and they both get internships at Dog Street, and it's quite wonderful during the story. But I really loved seeing Megan Tandy in that coat, because I was like, damn, that looked like something Dog Street clothing would make up. And I had to block it. All kinds of good vibes. Now, Garland keeps it. She always chooses the top echelon clothing from the Dog Street, because you know they have different levels. They have the cheap wear, the alright cheap wear, then getting into different plateaus of how they do their garments, and you know, the street wear, the workout wear, and things like that. They have them all, and Garland is usually in the top section, and because you know she's a rich girl and she already has access to her inheritance. Then Ballsy, and as you can see, Ballsy be wilding with her clothes. Now she won't be in school like Leonie Anderson, but she will be in school like Zonique or Busy Phillips, and she loves the aspect of artistry when it comes to how she wants to present herself. Her and Garland are always neck and neck because Balleria has access to money because of her father and her mother, so she be up in that high echelon selection too. But then her best friend don't. But even though Ahili has her own bankroll, because she got a lot of sponsorships in gymnastics before she quit, and that money did not have to be returned because of the contract that her mother got made up, because her mother was already doing lawyer work when she was in her youth doing gymnastics. So the contracts that she got with sponsorship made Ahili a millionaire before she was 12, I believe. Even if that's in the characterization sheet, but on the eyes looks, you can see that she got the vivid color prints, but there are times where she will do not the cuts that go with the Kenya Hill and Selena Gomez pick, but she loves the streetwear like the Mackenzie Small thing, but she like the colors a lot, so her wardrobe is mostly for the vividness of it all. But she would wear those shiny shimmery colors like that gold top a lot, because she wears tiaras all the time. That's one of Ania's personality quirks, is that she wears tiaras all the time, and like diamonds, everything, the real merit, all carried to the max. Her parents make a lot of money going into outer space and doing submarine work, marine biology work and things like that. Whew, her parents are survivalists and they get a lot of money. But Ahili, she likes to wear jerseys, and but then she will clean it up extremely like the other two picks. But one thing about Ahili you can count on is that Balleria will say when something is right when she put it together. So Ahili never misses because she's best friend with Ballsy. And then you have there was this one image Izza posted, and that looks like a very fresh cut for a cheerleading uniform. Even though I know that was a tennis campaign, but I really like the way they did this cut. And you know, Josephina has access to her inheritance as well as Garland, so everything she did for the Z Squad came out of her pocket, and she's been curating this plan since she was like 6-7 years old. And Josephina was like very smart, and when she saw the Guinness Book of World Records and she got into cheerleading, and she was like, I think I can do it. So she go do it, and that's what the girls are going to be wearing for the world's competitions and things like that. But it'll be in the colors of red, crimson, black, and white. I think, I know that that's the color of Fair City, but Z Squad might be a different color. I have to go back and make sure it's not the school colors and whatnot. But then moving along to the other girls of the story, Vulcan, like I said before, she likes to go undercover work, so she gets away with all kinds of steamy outfits and whatnot, and she loves metal. So Vulcan will wear metal to match with her tattoos, and the like all three of those pieces is something that Vulcan will wear routinely and whatnot. And even if she's posing as like this girl at a diner, being a waitress and things like that, she would still have that bomb ass magenta hair of hers, magenta, and whatever outfit she has on for the uniform, and still be surprisingly big. Then there's Joana, who is a little less saucy than Vulcan, but at the same time still like, I got this bomb ass body for now. I'm gonna show it off. I'm gonna simmer down a little bit, but as you can tell in a Mary McCarthy pick, that that's not a little bit, but I do like the way that outfit looks, but it probably wouldn't be transparent for Joana. But the Janina one, I really like that outfit for Joana, because Joana is often in the van, away from the scenes, away from eyes and whatnot, so she doesn't, you know, be seen as a suspect while she out there snooping around on cops that are with the Avaru Blues and the Travado group and all of that stuff. So she'll be reclining in a library looking like that, and the full body suit is something she will wear when she's not on the clock. Then you have Natalia, who is always out at night. She sleep during the day. She's a night worker. She out there in the streets making sure the vendors get to her spots, the clubs are not malnourished, everybody's taken care of. She also moves weight like Chazz Meganight too, but I like all of those looks. That Khalees one, I would love to have a like a full 3-piece rainbow suit like that, and wear a black undershirt with a blazer, but have that whole suit be rainbow without the sky blue would be bomb. But that's what Natalia be wearing. Anyway, Luminosa, when she on the TV, she wear all kinds of crazy stuff. Whether she's in the studio or out in the streets, Luminosa is gonna look great with that long ass ponytail of hers. And I remember the day when I saw Marlo acting up with that outfit on. And I just saw it recently, and I was like, wow, whoever designed it went all the way in. No, I don't know none of the designers of any of these clothes I post on my blog, but the inspiration behind them catches a lot of the characters in the development stages, and that's why I'm showing you some of these things and talking about it. Deciding who they are gonna be and their looks is hella big, and you know about art and how art is perceived and the emotions behind it and the flavor behind it be bomb a lot of the times, and Luminosa be bomb all of the time. Every time she's on her she her own stylist, basically got her own news outlet time slot for major broadcast networks, and she do her internet thing and whatnot. And while she's being that very social person like that, her notoriety gets her to be influenced. She influences the masses, so to speak, in a very great capacity, and the way she looks helps out with it, and she be getting them neighborhoods to act right sometimes. But she also uses the thugs from the neighborhoods, because she got her bodyguard detail and whatnot, because she works with a crime syndicate, but she gets away with it, and nothing has ever been tied to her or her partners once they moved from Brazil. But Champagne now, she be wildin', so I found some wild ass looks. Now the Shaylia one is the way that outfit is shaped, bomb. The way that the Natalie LaRose and Laura Kirkpatrick colors are, that's who Champagne is. So you put them colors on that Shaylia outfit, that's Champagne all day. Looks just like a kidney, don't it? Now moving on to Mafia. Mafia is more Mafia's actual wardrobe is higher than Garland and Ballsy's. As you can see in the details and whatnot, she is very, very high on the fashion list, and she gets away with it because she's beautiful. And Mafia is all around that city. It's crazy. I can't wait for you to witness the story. But that's what Mafia will be looking like throughout the story. Rithaga, on the other hand, hardcore. She be out there. And ain't nobody gonna stop her. And but the second she get out that uniform, she's a woman again. I love them looks for Rithaga. She likes to dress like she is going out for celebrations. And even if it's just to run errands during the day, she dresses like she is ready for a celebration. And I think all three of those looks catch it. Now, Amarelle, on the other hand, she likes those big dresses, and as you can see in the image, her original one, she got that old timey frilly dress on, and it's supposed to appear see-through, but I never did the artwork like that for it. But as you can see, these dresses are frilly in nature, see-through in nature, kind of big in nature, and that's what Amarelle dresses like. And she acts like Morgan from Darkstalkers. So imagine that kind of character in these kind of clothes. That's who Amarelle is. And then the guys of the inner circle of the Travada group all suited up and things like that. But making up these things, the creative process behind seeing everything in a outside of my head, reflecting some of my thoughts and whatnot, helps me capture things and explain them better when it comes to telling a whole story and whatnot. And I think I got lucky with the way that my imagination works. But looking at everything again right now, I want to say that there's this show within a story called Dance for Epidemics, and it's where it's a show that Garland was in love with in her youth, and she always wanted to be on the show. And she said when she got on the show, she was go win, she was go take 6 girls with her, and they was go dance it out, they was go win the whole thing, it was gonna go down in history. And it wasn't supposed to happen at the time it happened in the story, but it happened. And Garland was like, I wasn't ready. But Rollette was like, oh, you want to do that? Let's go do that. Because, you know, she alive again. She want to do everything. And Rollette convinces Garland to take the chance to be on the show when they 15. And Garland like, you think the other girls will do it? Because, you know, Repets and Ixinia, you know how they is. And, and you know, I.O. wants to be the school president, and taking her away from school for that long might not be in her best interest. So, Garland and Rollette came up with a plan to get them hitched on the show, and they got on the show. And I just like these looks and whatnot. The Amanda Blank image. When I tell you that Amanda Blank image had me gone for a long time, nigga. And I was like, that's exactly how the girls act on the show, because you know, the way that they curate reality television, reality competition shows is that the more drama the better, right? And you know, the girls are like, you know, we don't really have any drama, so we might as well be goofballs in between sets and performing on the stage and whatnot. And you know, they all have heavy martial arts under their belt, so you know, they know the beauty of Tai Chi and all of this meditative Final Fantasy X stuff. And they make a great ass dance team. Even though Ixinia golf, remember, she grew up in gymnastics, so she already know how to dance. Idopia know how to dance. All of them have a sense of rhythm, even though they're white. And it's gonna be extremely saucy times from the Amanda Blank to the Victoria Monet, to the Carrie D. English, to the Shaylia, to the Dawn Rashad, to the Moko, to the Lei Fang. The imagery of all that ridiculousness is what Dance Floor Epidemics is going to show, and I want to animate some of the best dance scenes ever. And the things I have, like the soundtrack of it all, and this is, I'm trying to remember the music. I know that the finale performance for Dance Floor Epidemics is going to involve Tierra Marie's Lost My Mind, Rachel Stevens' Most Girls, and one more song I can't remember, but they're gonna be acting up during the show, doing whiteface, doing blackface, and you know, all for ratings and things like that, and giving the other teams hard times that are act up. And because there's this other group in the Dance Floor Epidemic show called Beatdown Champions, and they're just a bunch of 7 boys from the hood that do breakdancing and should not be on the show, but they got on the show somehow, and very boring, but they keep getting passes by the general public, because you know everybody be voting for the wrong shit nowadays, and when they on these reality competition shows where you can vote, you get results like the bullshit winner of American Idol season 1 and pretty much all of them, and then the girls that wrongfully get voted out on America's Next Top Model when Tyra allowed that stupid shit to happen. Things like that. And Beatdown Champions just keep on sticking to the competition, and they make it to top 3. And the whole time the Dog Street Gals are trying to get them out. All 7 of Garland. It's like, we can't be in a final with them, and cause it's going to be unjustly, because they keep surviving and they ain't even being that entertaining, right? So because you know males are boring, and the girls are doing everything they can, and they keep getting on the first spot every week, right? And you know everybody loves them, the states love them, but Beatdown Champions keeps making it through, and they're like, oh, the producers are doing this shit. So that's when they started doing the white face and the black face and doing other kind of disrespectful shit, because Beatdown Champions is doing all kind of, because they have to bleep them out all the time. They have to censor out certain images, because Beatdown Champions don't know how to act, and they were acting all kind of polite and like gentlemen and things to get on the show, and then they switched it up once they got them contracts, right? So the Dog Street Gals are not happy. Everybody else isn't happy. Like there are other groups like the Gay Side Gangsters, like 7 dudes that dance like you're supposed to dance. And then you have Made in Heaven, a group of adult women who dance professionally. Smoothies on the Dance Floor, this group of different Asian men, and they be acting up on the dance floor with smoothies all the time. And then they put those smoothies down, and that's when that real choreography goes on, and it's beautiful. And the Gay Side Gangsters and Smoothies on the Dance Floor are Dog Street Gals' favorite teams on the show and whatnot. And then the Gay Side Gangsters get eliminated, and they was like not happy. And then the Smoothies on the Dance Floor got eliminated when Beatdown Champions should have went home, and they didn't make it into the final 3. Woo! It was all kind of drama, and I can't wait to animate it. So moving right along, the girls, when I see things like this, cause all of them have trained martial arts around the world, right? And they, you know, spend their summers in a different country and things like that, and they do this beautiful things, and they start off young, and they go to these different dojos and ninja clans and things like that, and like they have beautiful childhoods. But then you have the situation with Ahili and Ballsy, where there was in a ninja clan, and in this ninja clan they have males and females, of course, and they all get trained to protect the dojo, protect their land and things like that. And they all go through the same thing, generation in, generation out. And Ahili and Ballsy's fathers both went on these same ventures when they were young as well too, so they know about this clan, but they were boys when they went through this clan. These are girls that went through this clan, and every girl in that clan is trained to protect themselves against rapists, right? And there's a situation where Ahili and Ballsy are alone in their bunk, and then they make a fake clan attack, right? So the girls are thinking that something real bad is happening, and they go into their spaces. Then these two men come in and take them out, and then they get in this fight, and they fighting like these big ass grown men, and they're just 11 years old, right? And like they're fighting as hard as they can, and they fight for a real long time. Because like I said, in this universe, when they accept warriorhood, they become stronger than they actually are. And they were like 11-year-old girls, but fighting like they were like 27, right? And they was trying to stop them from, you know, incapacitating them. That's what they thought. And then when the dudes started, when they had them pinned down and the dudes started taking off their clothes, they, you know, fought a little bit harder, and they fought as long as they could until they couldn't fight anymore. And then that's when the dudes would stop when they were almost entering them. So Ahili and Ballsy learned a very valuable lesson about protection when it comes to their body that night, and they learned that they can fight a whole lot longer than they thought they could when it came down to life and death when they were 11 years old. So they do hold their own weight in the Dogster gang, and they thanked them because they didn't see the men, because the clan is so big. They didn't see the men the weeks that they were there at that clan village. So when the men came in, they didn't recognize them at all, so they really thought it was a clan attack. So they were fighting like they were really protecting their necks. So you know, they walked away without getting raped. And the women came in and helped them clean up and told them that they went through that same process around that age, and their daughters went through that same process as well, right? So they added that to their nacho survival tactics and things like that. And it's different kind of stories like that within Remixed. And like there's no, like, the creative process behind it is like I said before, I wanted some things to happen in high school that's never happened before. So leading up to that, everybody's characterization sheet will have some things about a very traumatic experience learning martial arts around the world, and they take that with them. But at the same time, everybody in the cast is vivacious and living their best life. They're all happy and whatnot, and like they have goals they're trying to reach, even if the goal is horrible. And I think I did some good things, even though you know, I put my character through all kind of shit. But I've talked too much for the creative process. But I hope you like the visuals and going in a little bit deeper with Remixed. But until the next time, I'm gonna be at rugby practice, doing some more writing on the Crimson Collective, doing some more drawing on the Crimson Collective too, because those spaces came out real good, and the updates I did for Remixed are great. I should have been doing this years ago. So now that I had this scanner that scans everything super big, when I do the full body drawings, even though the editing is going to take forever, the final product is going to be blissful. And that's what I'm going to be getting into next after I get done recording some videos and whatnot. But take it easy. Thank you for sticking all the way through. Make sure you do some liking, some commenting. Ask me some questions so I can bring them up in the next videos. Subscribe, all this stuff. Hit up my other places on social media. And watch me act up until I get them animated series made. And then I'm going to really be acting up once production is complete and everything is released out into the world. Later.